Most people take a photo because of how something looks. A pretty view with lovely colors, lovely light. It's all about the aesthetic qualities. We're drawn to these aesthetic qualities and compose a nice shot, and there is nothing wrong with that. I do it all the time. I've been doing it a lot this past year with my documentary projects. But photographs created because of how something feels comes from a far deeper place. They're less about what's in front of the lens and more about what's within us. When we're photographing something because of how it makes us feel, we're responding emotionally, not intelligently. We're trying to translate that mood or feeling into a visual language, a visual image that is trying to capture the emotion that we're experiencing at that time. So why am I talking about this? Well, for the past year, I've been doing a lot of documentary photography where I'm going to my local towns and photographing buildings and street scenes. And it occurred to me that I'm documenting something, but I'm not communicating my experience of that thing, that scene. I'm really just showing you what's in front of me and not showing you how I feel about what's in front of me, if that makes sense. So that got me thinking, if I revisited one of those towns and took a set of photographs that are based on what I feel about what's in front of me, would they look any different to what I've already got? Maybe I already communicated how I feel about what's in front of me. I just didn't realize it. It was a subconscious act. That's something to look into in warmer weather, I think. All this came about because I was thinking documentary photography is really fun to do, but it's not creatively challenging. And I love a creative challenge. So I think I need to add a project or two into the mix this year where I'm creating something that is based on how I feel rather than just interesting views. Here I'm showing you something, this interesting building, whereas here I'm sharing how I feel about something. With this first image, I didn't feel anything. I didn't have time to feel anything. What drew me to take a photo was just the shapes and the color. It was a purely aesthetic decision. And I like this photo, it worked. But with this image though, what compelled me to compose a photo was how I felt about what was in front of me. I thought, well, it was a sad sight, a store that had seen better days. I was compelled because of that feeling. The first image, I was just recording what was in front of me. And the second image, I was capturing what I felt. Now, did you see a difference? When you photograph something based on how you feel about it, I believe that your photography starts to carry an invisible extra something. And I think it's an honesty that people can sense, even if they can't articulate that. Like I'm having trouble articulating it now. I think these kind of images resonate because they come from truth rather than just following a process, a rule of composition or something. In one of my recent videos on this channel, somebody commented, and I quote, "From my own photography dictionary, I already erased words like beautiful, amazing, perfect, awesome, and the best. Those words meant to me boring." I thought that was a really good comment because I do believe we should stop chasing pretty scenes and surface beauty and go a little bit deeper. Instead, respond to something on a more human level. So how do we go about that? How do we start communicating how we feel? I think the first thing is just to slow down. If we see something, take a moment to look at it and figure out how we're reacting to what's in front of us. Figure that out before we click the shutter. I think the second thing we should do is start embracing imperfection. And that can mean technical imperfection. Stop chasing sharpness and perfect exposure, because maybe something that isn't perfectly sharp or perfectly exposed can communicate an emotion more effectively. I shot this in Siena, Italy many years ago. It was raining and everyone was rushing around to get out of the rain. I wanted to capture the atmosphere and the feeling, and I reacted without even bothering to check my shutter speed. And I ended up with an image that I absolutely love. It's a technically imperfect photo, but it captured the mood perfectly. That's more important to me. So I think we should look at what's in front of us and ask ourselves, what is it about this scene that stirs me, that makes me feel something, rather than how can I photograph this scene so it looks really awesome on an Instagram feed. So what we're talking about here is a shift from observation to interpretation. Maybe a good exercise is to go to a location that you know well and try this approach. In Spain a few years ago, on a long distance hike that lasted over 4 weeks, I started to get bored of looking for beautiful landscapes to photograph because, quite honestly, they were everywhere. So instead, I made a conscious decision to react to what I was feeling rather than seeing. And I think the results were far more interesting. So my suggestion to you, my challenge, is to go out and photograph something based on how it makes you feel, not on how it looks. Do you think that's a good idea? You gonna give it a try? Let me know. Thanks for watching.